Hello, everybody. Today, Grace and I are presenting on Aprosodia, which is a communication disorder that impacts the way people express and interpret emotion in speech. So, here's a quick overview of what we'll cover today. We'll start with what Aprosodia actually is. Then we'll go into what causes it. We'll look at the different types and common symptoms, talk about how it's assessed, and go over some treatment approaches. We'll then wrap it all up with a case study. But first, what is Aprosodia? Aprosodia is a condition that affects a person's ability to use or understand prosody, which is the rhythm, pitch, loudness, and intonation patterns of speech. This means that even if someone uses the right words, their tone might not match what they're trying to say. For example, they may sound flat or robotic when they're trying to express things like excitement, anger, or even sadness. Okay. Aprosodia can happen for a lot of different reasons, but some of the most common causes include a stroke, especially in the right side of the brain, traumatic brain injuries, certain neurodegenerative diseases, and even some psychiatric conditions. What's tricky is that prosody involves lots of different brain regions, so depending on where the damage is, the symptoms can vary quite a bit. Okay, there are two main types of aprosodia, and someone can have one or even both at the same time. Receptive aprosodia means they have a hard time understanding the emotional tone in someone else's voice, whereas in expressive aprosodia, that's when they have trouble using tone in their own speech to show what they're feeling or trying to say. All right, let's talk about what aprosodia might sound like. People often say they kind of sound flat or even robotic. Others around them may notice that their voice doesn't really match what they're trying to say. Their pitch and volume are usually more limited, and they might not show things like sarcasm or emphasis very well. Even crying or laughter might sound off or not really match the situation quite well. All of this can make communication feel awkward or confusing, both for the person speaking and for the person listening. All right. When it comes to figuring out if someone has aprosodia, there are usually three main parts of the assessment. First, there's perceptual ratings. This is where a clinician listens to the person's speech and judges by ear how well they're using emotional tone. Second, we use acoustic analysis, where we use computer software like Pratt to measure things like pitch changes and loudness in the person's voice. And finally, there are behavioral tools like the Aprosodia battery and the Beyond Conversation protocol, where we have the person do specific tasks to see how they understand and produce emotional speech.
So now we're going to move on to the treatment of aprosodia. First is the imitative approach. The clinician models the sentence using different tones, and the participant repeats it, matching the same tone. The therapist provides cues and feedback to help refine pitch, rhythm, and stress for more accurate prosody. Then there's the linguistic cognitive approach, and participants learn about the emotional prosody in practice, identifying emotions in speech. They are guided to produce appropriate intonation by associating emotions with speech patterns. And now we will watch a couple of videos that demonstrate this.
First, I'm going to say a sentence, and then we're going to say that same sentence together. I'm going to say the sentence in a happy voice. I like money. Now we're going to say it together. I like money. All right, now that we've said that 3 times, we can move on to step 2. Now I'm going to say a sentence, and I want you to watch me carefully and listen. And then after I finish, you're going to say the same sentence with the same intonation. I dropped my ice cream. Now it's your turn.
I dropped my ice cream.
All right, good. Now that we've done that one 3 times, we can move on to the next one. Now I'm going to say a sentence, and after I finish, I want you to say the same sentence using the same tone of voice. But you can't see my face when I say the sentence. I love my friends. Now it's your turn.
I love my friends.
Let's try it again.
I love my friends.
All right, one more time. We have to do it 3 times correctly before we can move on to the next step.
I love my friends.
All right, great. Now we're going to move on to step 4. Now I'm going to say a sentence, and I want you to say it after me, but I want you to say it with an angry voice. First, it's my turn. You spent all my money.
You spent all my money.
Good job. Now that we've done that one 3 times, we can move on to step 5. Now I'm going to ask you a question, and I want you to answer the question using this sentence. Why are you so angry?
I'm angry because my back hurts.
Okay, now that we've done that 3 times, now I want you to imagine that I'm a family member and you can tell me exactly how you feel. Use this same sentence in that same tone of voice.
I'm angry because my back hurts.
Okay, good, Mr. Fillsdale. Now we've gone through all 6 steps of imitative therapy. Nice job.
The linguistic cognitive therapy approach follows a 6-step cueing continuum. During the first step, you will receive a written description of an emotional tone of voice. You will be asked to read the description aloud and provide a description of the emotional tone of voice in your own words. Let's go over an example together. First, I want you to read these 3 descriptors.
Loud, fast, harsh.
Now, I want you to provide your own description of these characteristics.
Loud could be noisy, fast could be quick, harsh could be raspy.
Great job. Now I'm going to give you a list of emotions, and I want you to tell me which emotion matches the tone of voice of the characteristics you just described.
I think it's angry.
You got it. I'm also going to give you cards with black and white drawings of faces showing different emotions. I want you to pick the face that matches the tone of voice.
This one.
Good. Now with these 3 supports, I'm going to give you a sentence and I want you to produce it using the descriptors. The sentence is, she ate all the cookies.
She ate all the cookies.
Now I'm going to take away the tone of voice descriptors. I want you to produce the sentence again with only the name of the emotion and the face representing the emotion.
She ate all the cookies.
Now I'm going to take away the name of the emotion. I want you to produce the sentence again with only the face representing the emotion.
She ate all the cookies.
Good. Now I want you to produce the sentence one more time without any of the supports.
She ate all the cookies.
Let's try that one again. Here is the image of the face representing that emotion again. Now let's say that sentence.
She ate all the cookies.
Now let's try it without the face of the emotion again.
She ate all the cookies.
Great job. Let's try that 2 more times.
She ate all the cookies.
Good. One more time.
She ate all the cookies.
Good job. You worked really hard. Now we're going to move on to the next emotion.
Now we'll move on to the case study. So we'll start with the patient info. Mr. Bowe presents with flat, emotionless speech following a right hemisphere stroke. His articulation, grammar, and language comprehension remain intact, but he is unable to convey emotional tone through speech. Family members reported difficulty interpreting his feelings, leading to strained communication and social withdrawal. Now, for assessment, we would administer the Aprosodia battery, which is a bedside evaluation, and it was conducted to assess Mr. Bo's ability to repeat emotionally intoned sentences, recognize emotional prosody in speech, distinguish between emotional intonations, and comprehend gestures accompanying emotional expressions. The key observations were during unstructured conversation and storytelling tasks, Mr. Rowe discussed personal and emotional topics. His vocal delivery remained monotone and lacked expressive modulation, confirming expressive aprosodia. Some more assessments would be the Beyond Conversation protocol. Emotional and linguistic prosody were evaluated at the word, phrase, and sentence levels through imitation tasks, reading exercises, picture-based and scenario-specific questioning. Results showed flat effect across all levels with consistent monotone regardless of emotional context. And last is the perceptual and acoustic evaluation. SOP perceptual ratings indicated significantly reduced pitch variability and intensity range. Acoustic measures via the Pratt software confirmed minimal variation in fundamental frequency and loudness during expressive task. And last, the treatment. So our approach would be the linguistic cognitive approach to aprosodia. Therapy is focused on integrating emotional context with speech production using structured, language-based activities designed to increase awareness and control over prosodic features. Some therapy goals can include producing appropriate prosody for at least 3 target emotions in spontaneous speech, and generalizing prosodic expression to everyday conversation across familiar and unfamiliar partners. So that is all we have for aprosodia, and we hope that you enjoyed our presentation.